Yakmala, Yakmala! Welcome back, my friends, to the Cult Film Showdown. I am your host, 8th Dan Stanadu, and I am happy to be joined by my pals, my buddies. I got Nick Boxer.
Greetings and salutations. I can't wait to dive into this one.
You know it. And James Cotta.
I didn't think we'd ever do this again, but never say never again.
Never say never again. That's right. And Jack Hall.
Hey, sup?
Sup?
Hey, yo.
All right. Well, we are in season 17. We are entering the Octagon again, where we get to roll some movies, a whole bunch of different season choices, and whatever's going to win is going to give us a season full of hopefully good movies. Really, I guess that's the goal. In this case,
is it? Is it really?
I hope so.
Is that the goal?
So
okay.
This season is called...
Judging by the movies you picked sometimes, Nick, no. Food fight, China salesman, Jesus.
Hey now.
So anyways, this one's my season choice. It's Travelogue the Philippines, because we all know that so many great movies have come out of the Philippines, so I thought it was time to highlight those. And in this case, I decided that For Your Height Only was the movie that we needed to highlight, starring Wang Wang, because who doesn't love Wang Wang? And more importantly, who doesn't love Nick explaining a movie to us?
I can do that. Do we want to explain the season first?
I did.
Oh, okay. Okay. But yes, this movie is a completely standard spy film. Nothing unusual about it whatsoever. Our hero, Double Agent Zero, is assigned the task to rescue a scientist who's invented Bomb N from the evil force. I believe that's what they're actually called in this movie, led by Giant, a mysterious behind-the-scenes character that we don't see until the end. And he has, along with a female operative, has to infiltrate this organization and bring them down, save the scientist. Everything goes fine. He starts taking down their financial operations. He busts their drug operation, and then he stops them from robbing the Banana Gold and Silver Company, which I thought was kind of oddly named company. I was wondering if they mined bananas as well as gold and silver. And then, once he gets some names of the big honchos, he starts tracking them down as well. He does it with he gets a few cool gadgets from headquarters, and this is a James Bond knockoff. It's nothing unusual about it whatsoever. I may have noticed Double Agent Zero is a little shorter than most action stars, but still taller than Tom Cruise.
It's funny because it's true.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like maybe it's definitely a spy movie, but it does feel a little wonkier than most spy movies.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. But every gadget he had that was a little bit off actually has appeared in a James Bond film at one time or another.
Yeah, it's just not quite the same. Every one of these was shrunken to the size of the star, which was 2'9".
Which is amazing, and that's the thing. Like, is that Wang Wang is like in amazing shape. Like the things that he does, incredible.
Dead.
Yes. Well, does in the movie. I mean, like, yes.
Yeah, no doubt. The fellow, that dude, Wang Wang, was fearless. He would look at a 15-foot height and just jump right down, and no worries about anything. He would do whatever they asked of him, stunt-wise. The dude was absolutely fearless, no question.
Oh, there were some breathtaking stunts in there. That one where he jumped over or had to get over the wall, and then for somebody his size to do that, I was scared for him just watching because it was obviously there was no safety equipment anywhere near there.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, given his height, it's not like you can get away per se with using somebody
Yeah.
as a stuntman.
How do you double them? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you use? Like an 8-year-old? Like, I mean, I don't.
Yeah. Their bones are rubber. They'll heal faster.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Philippines. It probably came up in discussion, but
Yeah. But at the same time, it's the Philippines, so therefore safety equipment unnecessary.
yeah, at the best of times,
Yes.
not something they worry too much.
Had anyone here ever seen a Wang Wei film before?
I had
Just
not.
heard of them.
Okay, me too. I was actually really surprised how straight they took this movie. I was really expecting something more along the lines. If we did something like this in North America, you'd get him coming out of a 10-gallon hat, and it would have gotten really silly. But other than the atrocious dub that we were forced to view, it's not really pointed out too much that our star is maybe a quarter of the size of anyone he's fighting.
They refer to him as little at least 8 different times during the course of the movie. In fact, at one point, one of the women said something along the lines of, "You're so little, you're like a little potato."
Yes.
I love that line.
Oh,
That's
man.
my favorite line.
Yeah, but I chalked the offensiveness up to the dub. I don't think it would have been quite the same in the original.
The dub is amazing. It's one of my all-time favorite things. Like, the way they chose to dub these characters and the variety of the characters and the way that they wrote the script again, incredible. Just incredible.
Don't go too much further. You're going to take some of my WTFs.
Oh yeah, for sure. It goes there.
I wonder if like my potato is a traditional pet name in the Philippines. Like maybe it's a sweet thing.
Maybe it is. Yeah.
And maybe are you a sexual animal is a come on in some countries.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is the correct answer apparently.
The ladies want Wing Wang's little Wing Wang. That's for sure. They're all about the wing.
See, the problem with this movie, again, I think it comes down to it's a little bit different than Crippled Masters. Like Crippled Masters, we didn't have anything to talk about. In this case, we have stuff to talk about. It's all going to be in WTF.
Well, maybe we just need to move on. Story-wise, I like you're saying, story-wise, it's surprisingly linear.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Did anybody learn anything from this? What did it teach you?
That Wing Wing is an amazing, in amazing shape and fearless. Because I didn't know that.
The sliding across the floor shooting guns, it looks cool no matter who does it. Like John Wick, Chow Yun-Fat, Wang Wang, they all look cool doing that.
That's true.
I learned that the 4-year-old me who had the concept of using umbrellas as parachutes was right after all.
It turns out, yes. Yeah.
You got to be careful, though, to stunt your growth.
Yeah.
I learned that the problem with Odd Jobs' hat and Goldfinger was that it wasn't remote controlled.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Really needed to be remote controlled. And it looked far too much like a real hat.
All right. Well, in our search for the ultimate B movies, we rate each film in 5 categories, none of which is objective quality. The first category is called Schlock Uphill, and we start with Stan.
I laughed out loud so many times while watching this movie because there's just so much. I'm sure that a ton of it is due to the ridiculous dub that we watched, but there's so much to enjoy in this movie that I've got to give it a 9.
Yeah, I definitely see why people go to see this movie, and I doubt anyone went to this film expecting a quality experience. It's all schlock appeal. There is no regular appeal to this movie. So I have to go high. I have to go with a 9.
You know what? If you love a film, a bad film that's so bad it's good, and you want to watch one and laugh and enjoy yourself and not have anything be too serious, just enjoy yourself, this is the film for you. I also got a 9.
I think I had not seen a Weng Weng film before. I'm looking forward to seeing the documentary. I wanted to wait till I watched this before I saw the documentary, but I did see the documentary on Filipino films, and this was definitely celebrated there.
Mm-hmm,
that it
absolutely.
was it was such a cultural touchstone for them, and the silliness that like everything that's jammed into this movie. It even has a drug story, like a drug story for a James Bond character before James Bond even did that. They don't even do that until the Dalton movies in James Bond. So I'm at a 10 for this. I think it's just I think this one leaps off the shelf at you. More heart than budget.
I mean, I don't know what the budget is, but I gotta say, I mean, just having not seen Weng Weng in a movie, having not seen this, like I've seen a lot of Filipino movies. This is by far the best of them in that regard. But just for Weng Weng alone, like what this guy will do to put himself out there and even just to promote the movie and just to be, and to make this something like, I mean, he became an international star because of this movie. It's a 10 because of him.
I mean, I've seen a bunch of Filipino films as well, and a lot of them are made for profit and like that. But you can tell these guys are just making a movie to make a movie. The business aspect of it really doesn't come into it because it's going to get shut down at some point, somewhere along the lines. With international distribution and stuff. But
and yet it wasn't. And yet it was.
Like they're having a good time, I think. So
it wasn't shut down, Nick. That's worth noting. It was. There was a film festival, and it was for international distribution. The highest bought film there.
I just assumed that it would be a tough sell for American audiences.
No, anything but. Surprisingly.
But yeah, 9 was my score.
I have a lower score because I do think this is a big budget film. I mean, it's small budget compared to an American film, but everything is in the Philippines because it just costs so much less to make a film there. For a Filipino movie, this was at the time would have been a very high budget. So I can't give it any more than a 6.
I'll split the difference because I think they were having a lot of fun doing the film. And I think that shows through. 8 for me. What the fuck moments?
All right then. Well, now let's see. I did have to. It's
settle in, folks.
There's a lot. Yes. I mean, there's so much, and again, so much of it comes from the dub. But like when he got a chance to get his gadgets, and just the description of the gadgets is so haphazard, and like I didn't understand what half the gadgets did until you actually saw them in action. It was just like, oh, I get it now. Awesome. Okay. There's an honest to God pie fight scene, what amounts to a pie fight battle in this movie, which is amazing. There's a gangster bad guy who has a cigar and talks exactly like you would think a 1920s gangster would talk, which I loved. Nick, you mentioned it earlier, the umbrella, going down the building with the umbrella. That was an amazing piece of work. I tell you, I want to visit Disco Island and swimming pool. Do you think it still exists? Because that was
Disco. I thought it was actually named Hidden Island.
Well, the sign said Disco Island and swimming pool, which I thought was amazing. Okay. There was a dance club, which I think was a different dance club, and it had the most disinterested dancers ever. They were just kind of like basically like bump, 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 nothing going on at all. There's one fantastic action scene near the end with a dog barking the whole time. It's just all this action is going on, and all you can hear is bark, 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 bark. It sounds basically like Jack's house for the most part. But then there's a scene. Wing Wing's climbing a fence, and he's like kind of standing on the fence, and people are walking by, and one guy is like walking by and looking at him like, what the hell is going on here? And you can tell that because, of course, they're only shooting it from the one side. The weird scene near the end where the taxi runs out of gas, and he's apologizing to Agent 00, and then, of course, Agent 00 gets picked up and taken on his way to the trap. But it's just like, it seems so weird in that moment. I love the fact that by the time the Doctor was reintroduced, I had completely forgotten that the Doctor was even a character in the movie at that point. I was just so taken by everything that had gone on before then. And then at the very end fight, I love the forces of evil. They are an amazing collective of bad guys, but it was very nice of them to create their henchmen uniforms with targets all on them. This one, it made me laugh. There's no shortage of insanity. I'm going to give it a 9.
This one is WTF up the wazoo. First off, I have to dispute the budget a little bit with Jack here, because you will notice, and this is in the WTFs, the bad guys, no matter how many are going to any particular location, or who is going, they all drive in the same blue Volkswagen Bug. That car appears multiple times in this film. You have you have the skyscraper dive out of with the umbrella, which is awesome. You have the gadget, and they spend an inordinate amount of time to explain the poison detecting ring and how it's made out of gold, not platinum, for budget reasons.
And the best part is that whole scene where it's used is about 30 seconds and probably could have been cut from the movie because I don't think it mattered at all.
You think when they were explaining the gadgets, there was just too much Filipino dialogue in there to cover the length, so that was just used to extend it or something? That's the only thing I could think of for, like, why explain that it's gold, not platinum. That you could have just said gold ring, and I'm not going to ask the question, why didn't they use platinum? It's a poison detecting ring. It should be platinum. But the most WTF for me, and I don't think you guys might not have even picked it up because this movie is weird, and it would be easy to miss, but once I noticed it, I couldn't not notice it. The big end fight when our hero, Agent Zero, comes up against Giant, and they have a fight. What is that room they're in? There is an oven, so it might be a kitchen. There is a dining room table, really fancy, in that same room, and some sort of vanity in the corner. Is it a bathroom / kitchen / dining room? I don't know, but I was distracted through that entire awesome fight between two little people, and I was just looking for clues for that entire scene.
It's open concept.
Very, but still a very weird room. And the only fancy room we see in this movie, because any interior does look like it. There's a bunch of like weird bedrooms we enter throughout the movie, and they're all obviously poverty stricken. There's nothing on the walls. You're lucky if you have a box spring. This is a fun movie, but weird. Nothing is normal in. Nothing is to be expected. I should score this. It's really up there, 9 as well.
Okay, I do know this from having worked with Filipinos and having this conversation. It's possible 50% of all cars on the road that year were blue Volkswagens. That is not an impossibility. It's just, it could have been multiple cars they were using all the same, just so you know. Yeah, this is a really good film for the WTF. It's really strong. He gets those gadgets. He gets a gadget that can detect all poison. I'd like to repeat, all poison, all, like they're all the same.
And it just has to touch the glass. Like
it turns color, and he knows, that's poison. I'm like, that's crazy. He gets glasses that lets they're X-ray glasses. So it's the first thing he does when he steps out into the hall where all the secretaries are. Puts on those glasses so he can check out the. That's our hero.
That's dude. That's the first thing we would all do.
Exactly what you do.
Yes,
dude.
You personally, you would do that, wouldn't you not?
You have to make sure.
Would that not be your first move upon receiving X-ray glasses?
Well, what I love is that the X-ray glasses only remove the first layer of clothes, so you see them in the bra and underpants. Because again, that makes sense.
And it does remove curtains as well. Don't forget that.
It removes curtains. Yes, it does. It's that makes a ton of sense. You mentioned the guy who's talked like the gangster there, Stan. Of course, I mean, there's another guy who talks like Bogart, like Humphrey Bogart, almost perfectly. I think the cast of the We Talk Comics may have actually done these because I've heard their voices when they do that script thing. I'm pretty sure they could have been the ones doing the voices on this because there's just some crazy stuff in there, some crazy voices. My favorite is the guy who's Filipino and sounds like Jimmy James Walker, Jimmy J.J. Walker, or he's like, it's like they looked at him and went, that Filipino right there, make him sound like he comes from Harlem. I mean, it made no sense whatsoever. It's fantastic. I got an 8.
I love I love his time with the ladies.
Oh man, it's the best.
Every time. I love that he barges in on women's apartments a couple of times, and everything in those scenes is weird. Like, 1, they don't react to him busting in. 2, he makes some time with a couple of them. 3, they're not doing anything when he gets there. There's like he goes into one woman's apartment. She's just sitting on the bed. Like, I don't know if it's a hotel room.
I thought she was reading a magazine, but
she seems quite like her time is pretty open at the point at which she enters.
Yeah, she was waiting for him.
Just maybe that's why the door was unlocked. That's, that's how she meets people. It is just like an odd movie and an odd decisions throughout the whole thing. So 7 out of 10 is what I'm going to go with. Memorable moments.
For me, I mean, there's some amazing, memorable stuff overall. Like the Wang Wang slide, I know we've seen it in others, but nobody could slide like Wang Wang. Like, he could slide, I think it was like 10, 20 feet and always hit the bad guys with unerring accuracy, and he was fast. Super fast with that slide. But, some of the lines, I mean, like the forces of evil right off the bat, they must be exterminated, and I mean lethally. It's like, oh, you're good call. Absolutely.
That's the way to do it for sure.
It got mentioned earlier, what kind of sexual, beast are you, or are you a sexual beast? And then that scene ended with, shall we get it on? Of course.
Oh, yes. Great line. Shall we get it on?
What
a charmer.
Oh yeah, I love the lines. I love the fact that he does battle with Mr. Giant, and that's not even close to the final scene of the movie. It's like he defeats the big bad guy, but then they have to defeat all the henchmen afterwards. It's so completely backwards from a normal movie in that regard. like, I may forget the order of the story and a lot of elements, but there's so many like just really good bits that I'm going to take with me. So I'm going to give it an 8.
I think you're going a little high here. Yeah, I mean, Wing Wing is amazing and he is memorable. The rest of this film is, unfortunately, to me, just sort of a fun Filipino spy film. There are several others similar, none exactly like it, but similar. So I can only go high as a 6. I mean, the star is really what stands out.
Mr. Carter. First off, I'd like you to change my score of WTFs after Nick's memorable moments to a 9. or I mean Stan's memorable moments to a 9.
All right.
So my WTFs are up to a 9 now. Yes, because it's not so much the memorable moments. I mean, other than the one that sticks out for me is him on the in the backpack that's like, that he uses to fly.
Oh, the jetpack, yeah,
the jetpack, yeah, exactly. Thank you. The jetpack he uses to fly. That's the one that sticks out for me as like a scene. It's more similar in many ways to the last movie we did, Crippled Masters, where it's like it's less individual moments and more it's an overall experience that you'll never forget. It's a memorable experience. So I'll give it the exact same score as I gave that, as an 8.
I think I'm going to struggle with individual memories of this movie, as particularly if I watch the other ones. But I think there's a lot of fun in this, and I think that's probably what's going to be my biggest takeaway is the silly stuff and the and very petite like a potato. That's a freaking great line. I'm gonna go with a 6 though. Crazy concept.
I mean, I think ultimately, like, the weird thing for me is that it feels like it's supposed to be a spoof, but it's not really played as a spoof. And I mean, let's be honest. Of course, they're just doing James Bond, so there's nothing too crazy about that. The fact that they're doing it with a 2'9" star, I think that's obviously the really crazy part. I can only go with a 4.
Yeah, I think you said it right there. I'll go a little higher at 5, but you summed up my feelings.
Mr. Carter, I'd also like to change my score of More Heart Than Budget to a 7, I've decided. This 10. Move on.
Would you like to change any other scores?
No, that's it. I give this a 10 for crazy concept. I'm moving on.
I think, I think the weird part of this movie, like, I'd said about last week I talked about how Cripple Masters doesn't work without those two actors. This you get sued for without Wing Wing.
Yeah,
because it's too close.
That's not true because the guy who's played the guy who gave him the gadgets starred in several offshoot movies as a secret agent called XX that was just like James Bond.
Hard to get sued for anything in the Philippines too. I'm gonna be higher than I'll take second place here for the highest number though. 6 for me. It is a really fun movie.
It's a really, really great movie. Like, it made me laugh, and I loved watching it and could easily watch it again.
All right. Well, at the end of balloting, that brings it to a very impressive 79 out of 100, putting it just out of the top 10. It'd be in the top 15, I guess, tying with Raw Force and right behind Road to Hell.
That's that. You know what?
Respectable.
It's the film to beat now, and we'll see if anything can.
Yeah, I mean, it offered us all of those things that we're, as a general rule, that we're looking for in just so much fun, so much WTF moments, just really, I think honestly, if it weren't for the fact that it was based off of James Bond, then it would have gone higher.
it was a tremendous amount of fun, a lot of laughs, and he's a very likable guy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's just a very appealing person.
I will say this: I while I did give it a 10 and everybody else went lower, the fact that it's the sequel to a film for Crazy Concept means that it probably shouldn't have gotten that. I'm probably more scoring the original 00 would get the 10, and this probably deserved less, but I'm not changing my score.
Fair enough.
Well,
it is too late. We've locked in the Octagon.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do some business.
Well, speaking of the Octagon, you can find it at wetalkpodcast.com. They are our show sponsor, the home of the Octagon, where you can find our complete record of our search for the ultimate B movies. And they have a Facebook, they have a Twitter, and the Cult Film Showdown is on Patreon. You can support what we're doing there and slip us a couple of bucks. We'll continue to do this kind of thing. Slip us a couple more, and we'll do something else.
We'll do whatever you want.
Give us $2 if you want us to continue. Give us $5 to stop. We're going to be breaking it in, boys.
if I can,
based on our YouTube comments, that's a fact.
If you've listened this far, we're not playing the movie after this. So if that's what you came looking for,
move along. Nothing to see here. Yeah.
But thanks for listening. So Cult Film Showdown is on Instagram and on YouTube and on most podcast apps.
Awesome. We're awesome. I love us. But okay. Season 17, Enter the Octagon 2, Octagon Harder, moves on next week with All Jacked Up, and the movie is Dead Heat.
Jacked to the Max.
Oh, Jacked to the Max. Okay, fair enough. Well, Dead Heat is the movie, so we got some Joe Piscopo action, and I think it should be fun. So, anybody have anything else to add before we wrap this bad boy up?
I can watch the film and be back here in 2 hours.
All right. For Jim, and for Jack, and for Nick, I am your host, 8th Dan Stanadu, and thank you for listening to the Cult Film Showdown.
Just in case you didn't know, Wing Wing is Agent 00, and he's back with more adventure in For Your Height Only. Yes, Agent 00 is back, and he's more defiant, more daring, more full of surprises. For Your Height Only. It has more thrills, more action, more chills, more skills. Agent 00. He's more full of fighting fury than before. Join him and Yelen Catral, Carmi Martin, Ana Marie Gutierrez, Beth Sandoval, his group of intrepid crime-busters as they ram through a network of syndicates and bust them wide open to save society from oppression in the name of justice.
I am Mr. Giant. I want your formula of the end wow. That's what I need in my organization to conquer the world.
No. It could be the end of the world.
Wing Wing is back, just the way you'd hoped he would be, and more. This time braving odds, coming face to face with countless dangers, risking life and limb as only Agent 00 would.
Peace resistance. A real winner. Your gadgets, 00.
You really a miniature Bond? Boy, that's in the movies. In real life, you die.
Face it, there is no one as compelling or as big in the world of Secret Service agents as 00, with always a trick up his sleeve. Nobody does it more conventionally or unconventionally as Agent 00. Mark it well. This is Agent 00, and he will stop at nothing to get his man in. For your height only. For your height only, one motion picture treat you have owed yourself in a long time. Let Wing Wing, Agent 00, and Tony Perez, Tony Falcon take you on a high ride to entertainment